Well, it's another beautiful day here at Doghobble Wine Farm in Dahlonega, Georgia. I'm Sam Zamarripa, the founder of Doghobble Wine Farm, along with my wife, Robin Zamarripa. Today, we're launching a new initiative here at the vineyard. We're launching our own TV network on YouTube, and this is the first episode. And we're dedicating this episode to a wine that we're growing here called Norton. As you can see behind me, these are the Norton vines in their beautiful winter dormancy. The vines are sleeping now. They're resting. They're storing up energy, sugars and proteins and nutrients, getting ready for the full growth of the coming months, where these very canopies that I'm standing on now, you won't be able to stand on them because the leaves will be down to the ground. This time of year, we're focused on pruning. Pruning is easy this time of year because the vines are accessible. You can see them. You can see the cordons left to right. You can see the strongest growth patterns. You can select and prune and tie and get this vine ready to produce beautiful, beautiful grapes for next summer's growing program. The more you prune, the better you prune, the more thoughtfully you prune, the better the vine will grow and the healthier it will be and the better the wine will be, which is what our goal is. Next summer, when we come out here, as I said, the cascade will be all over the tops of this trellis system, and the grapes will be under here in bunches. And the good news is that this is so thick, the birds can't see some of those grapes. That's one of the natural things about this particular vine, Norton. As I mentioned, Norton is probably our queen vine. We grow other product here, but this month we're focused on Norton because Norton is a vine that has been cultivated to grow in this region. This vine is as natural to the state of Georgia as is a magnolia, as is a pine tree. These vines have a Mother Nature's blessing to be here. They are sustainable vines. They are cold-hearted. They're sun and heat resistant. They're humidity resistant. They're disease resistant. And that makes this vine the most perfect vine for growing in this region of the wine world of Georgia, which is called the Dahlonega Plateau. If the United States had a Cabernet Sauvignon, which we all love, it would be Norton. Why? Because Norton has a big body, lots of characteristics, lots of fruit, strong, powerful, aromatic. It's a winemaker's dream because you can use it in a variety of ways. You can make it its own varietal, or you can also blend it with other spectacular wines from the region, making blends that are unique to the winemaker's artistry. So in this episode of Doghobble Television, we wanted to introduce you to Norton and invite you to come visit us during the winter, because the winter is the time where you can see through the vines. You can see how the pruning is working. You can see the caliper of these young vines and how they're growing. And then come back in the summer and you'll be astonished to see that the canopy almost covers the entire area between the vines. And that's what farming wine is all about. It's about cultivating, curating, getting ready for the harvest, harvesting those grapes and making beautiful wine. And in a moment, we're going to walk up top to the tasting room, again through this area that is all Norton, and we're going to taste some Norton grapes. We're in now the tasting room. We've come inside to Trellis, which is our tasting room that overlooks the Norton where we were just walking, and also Norton and other varietals that we're growing on this south side. The tasting room's been set up for really wine tasting here. You can come in and you can taste Norton, you can taste Chambourcin, you can taste Lenoir, you can taste Treminette, all of the wines that we're growing here. But today we really want to focus on Norton, so we're going to walk over to the fireplace, and Aaron's going to join us, and Becca's going to join us, and we're going to taste a little bit of wine. I finally made it inside so we can have a little sip of wine. You know, it's wonderful to tour the vines this time of year. It's great to be in a vineyard during the winter, as we've said, because you get to see how the vines are growing, you get to see the dormancy, you get to see how they're pruned, how we tie them up and get them ready for next year. But all of that, all of the work that goes into growing grapes and to cultivating grapes is all about making wine. And today, as I said, we're focused on our Norton wine. Our Norton has this wonderful, what would you call that? Maybe scarlet, beautiful orange red label, and it's a favorite amongst our customers. Erin works behind the bar, serves Norton every day to our customers. Becca is our chef, and one thing about Norton that I personally find is I believe Norton is a food wine. So I believe it's better with a little bit of food. Now, we've set up a couple of things here. Becca, you made us some soup today.
It's a tomato bisque with house roasted tomatoes and some of our locally sourced bread turned into a bit of a crostini. Goes really well with the Norton.
Lovely. And you know, the thing about Norton, and all wines basically are better with food. I mean, we all have a little bit of tradition nowadays of drinking wine sort of alone. But the fact is that food and wine are husband and wife, you know, sister and brother. They're together, they're better than they are separately. And especially a wine like Norton, which has so much character. And Erin, you've been at the bar many times, and you're trying to introduce Norton to a customer. How do you do that? How do you start that?
I'll usually let them take a sip of Norton and tell them the flavor notes. It's one of our flagship grapes that we grow here. The Norton is one of our more full-bodied reds with a lot of depth, and it's my favorite of all the reds. And then I'll encourage them to try food with it, like olives or any of our food items, empanadas, to kind of cut the acidity and bring out more of the flavor notes of Norton.
In American varietals in general, they have a lot of acid in them. These wines are high acid, so they'll go really well with an acid soup like a tomato bisque, which also has that natural tomato acid. Well, let's just cut to the chase here. Now look, I've poured myself a glass of wine. Can I pour you a glass of wine back in? A little taste of the Norton. And I poured myself a glass of the Norton in this large Riedel glass that is really designed to open up a wine, to give it a little bit more surface in the glass, to give you a little bit of a bouquet. Because Norton is a very complex wine, lots of smell, a lot of aroma, a lot of flavors, and the flavors change dramatically with food. As we said earlier, Norton, we call it our queen wine, because it has a little royalty in it. This wine has lineage going back to colonial era America. Some say Tom Jefferson had his hand in this wine with some of the early grafts of the vines that later would be passed along and ended up in Virginia, where an individual named Dr. Norton ultimately grafted the grape today, the vine today, that is known as Norton. But let's just get to the food. So you made a little tomato bisque, right? And we're going to be making these soups throughout the winter months. Maybe in the spring we'll make some cold soups, but right now we're making some nice, warm, hearty soups, and this is the tomato bisque. Now the interesting thing about tomato is it's got a lot of natural acids.
Yes.
So when you combine the acids of the tomato soup, a little bit of garlic on the toast, maybe a touch of garlic, and a wine that is in high acidity as Norton, you've got the makings of a real flavor boom. You're going to release a lot of flavors in both the soup and in the wine. So let me just, can I taste it?
Yeah.
Yep. That reminds me of something my mother would have made for me when I was a little boy. Now, I'm going to taste it with the Norton. And you know, when I drink a wine like Norton, I like to take a big gulp of it. I don't like to sip it. I want to take a big gulp and swirl it around and get all that flavor. Because when you have that tomato bisque, a little bit of garlic and bread, maybe a little bit of olives, the wine really releases itself, and it just gives you a flavor profile that you will not get with it alone. Is that your experience with food?
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, especially with the olives, it might be gross, but I like to not have it, not swallow it all the way, and to combine the two, and those flavor combinations at the same time just...
It's like chips and dip.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's really the way wine ought to be.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of sophistication in wine, but wine at the end of the day is just about flavors combined with other flavors, giving everybody a good time, having a good conversation, and spending some time together with friends. Thanks for coming to Doghobble Wine Farm today, and we'll see you in our next episode later in the spring.